welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Hallmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today we are looking at Dainty Delight, one of the new stamps bundles in the new mini catalogue. Absolutely lovely. You can get the celebration paper free with it. It's just a beautiful set, and I've done a few things with it, but I thought today that we would do a clean and simple card, but a very, very pretty card, because we're going to be using the actual stamp set this time. We're using the dies to die cut part of it out, but it is going to be a very clean and simple card. So I have mounted the large flower with these lovely little sort of, I don't know what flowers they are, but they're very pretty. And this one as well with the little buds on it. So I thought that they would work beautifully. And so I've mounted those on the block. Because it's going to be a clean and simple card, I don't think I'm going to do a mat at all. I'm just going to put it on, and I might put it up with dimensionals to give it a bit of height. But I've given 1/4 inch mat because that's what I like to use. And we're using Memento because we are going to be using some blends and alcohol markers with it. So we need to ink it up well because it's very delicate. As it says, it's dainty. And then I want to put this one in just a little bit off to the left hand side as you're looking at it, so not completely straight. And then I'm just going to make sure that because it's quite a large one, that it's nicely stamped in, and then take it out, and you can see it's just beautiful. And then while I'm at it, on another piece of, let me find the other piece I've cut. So on another piece, which I am just going to be using for scraps, I'm going to take the other flower, because this one we are going to be die cutting out, and that's going to give us just a little bit of, I don't want them both, I just want this second one done. And so I'm going to put it in on here so I'm not wasting the paper, and put that one in on there so I can die cut that one afterwards, but we can colour both the images at the same time, so it saves a little bit of time in your colouring. And I'm going to colour this fairly quickly, but you can spend as much time. And I know that, sorry, I'm getting my Simply Chamois out. I know that having spoken to a few of you, you really enjoy me showing you the colouring process on my tutorials, because it's helping some of you in your learning process yourselves, and gives you just sort of tips and things along the way, which helps with your colouring. So my tip is always put your stamps back in the case as soon as you have used them, because then they won't get mislaid anywhere. And you can see as well, when I've got something out and I'm die cutting something, I tend to die cut a few at the same time. I've just had a few that have fallen out, so I tend to keep some in the case so I've got bits and pieces to use. So that's the thing, you know, make use of it at the same time. So this, I am going to do, these little flowers are going to be done in yellow. Now I've run out of my blend, so I'm actually using a different make, but our blends are brilliant. We're using those for the others. I just haven't got around to replacing them at the moment. So I'm doing all of these little flowers in here in yellow. Now they are different flowers, but I want it to be very delicate, so I'm just taking all of these up in yellow. So I'm using the pale to start off with, and then I'm going to show you a way of using a combination of watercolour, so our Stampin' Right markers and the blends at the same time. Sorry, I'm just thinking as I'm going. So that's the pale in there, and again I want to do the same in on here. So this is quite a pale yellow, which, as I say, would be the pale Daffodil Delight, the pale Crushed Curry, any of our yellows that we have. And then I'm taking, this is Stampin' Right marker, and it's the Crushed Curry. I'm taking the tip and I'm just going to go in on the centre with the Stampin' Right marker. So I can do just a little bit on the outside of here. So I'm just giving it that little bit of colour, but I'm not using an alcohol marker to do it. So just taking it just down in the bottom. And just these little bits down in there, that gives it just a little bit of tonal colour. Now I've got two greens, and these are, I'm just going to turn the light on. As I say, it's a funny time of year. Light comes and goes quite easily. Now this is light granny apple green, and I'd like to do it in, I'm going to do it with the point, I think. Let me just have a look and see how pointy it is. You need to make sure that your points aren't bent, you know, the nib hasn't bent at all, because then you're not going to get a really pointy look, because these are quite fine. So I'm just going through and doing little things in. I'm leaving those pieces because they are quite small, and I want to try and get the tops of those. So I'm just going through on here, just working my way down. I always try and start at the top and work down, so that you're not putting your hand through your work, because particularly if you're using watercolor based things, you can smudge your work. Even with the blends, you can smudge it as well. So that's those, and then I'm going to take these ones as well, and you can see it is quite pale. I don't want it, I want it very subtle, very dainty, because it's going to be a very dainty little card. Okay, so that's done in the light granny apple green. Now I want to try and get the, see if I can do it in there. I'm not sure whether I can now. It does frustrate me, some of the blends that were new, you can't get the one side of them off, and I think they have made quite a difference now, so they're far easier to do it. Now let me see, I think I might have another one of these. I'm going to try with the other to see if I can just get, no I haven't, that's the only one I've got, so I'm going to have to try and do it with the point again. It's always fine with one side, but the other side I cannot get this other side off without it pulling the whole cap off. So I just want a little bit of dark in on here, which is going to make it just a little bit more difficult to do, because I've used this one more, so that the nib is not as easy. You just need to literally do a little tiny dot rather than doing any more. So These pieces I just need to now just put a tiny little dot in down on here, so it's just a little bit darker, a little bit to give just the shadow just at the bottom. This again is going to be a dot. It's quite easy sometimes to just do, that's a bit of a leaf, we can have another leaf that colour, bring that in. So at the bottom of each one of these I'm just doing, and it's coming out as a little dot because I haven't got a fine point because I can't open the other end, but I can just dot it down through on here and take it down on the bottom. Okay, so that's that piece. So you can see it's quite delicately done. I had taken the Highland Heather and I thought I might do just on these little ones, just a little bit of the Highland Heather in them, which I think will work nicely. And it's so fine that you can hardly see it, which is the idea. So we're now going to take this one, and I'm using the mini to cut it out, and I'm hoping that, let me get the dies out. These dies are wonderful because you've got all of these that give you all sorts of different things to play with, but we're making this a clean and simple one, so I need to find which one goes in here. I think it's this one. Is it that one? Yes, it is. Okay, so I need to take this one and let's have a little look and see if I can put that on here without having to put it on a... I need to just make sure I can put it on nicely. Now there'll be a little hole in on here. I should put it up with some... Yes, I'm going to have to put it up with a little bit of masking tape on here, otherwise it's going to wobble about all over the place. So let me just put this in so I can see. Now when you've got little pieces like this at the bottom, you need to line these two little holes up with that bottom piece. So I'm just going to get a bit of masking tape. Let me see what I've got in here. I know that I've got, oh, there we go, I've got some of this from Christmas time, that'll do. A bit sparkly to use, but it will do. So I can use this to just go in on here. So let me just make sure that I've got everything where I want it. And those two pieces have come in on the bottom like that, and then I can put the masking tape across on the top there, and we'll have it just across on the bottom there so it holds it on neatly. Very sparkly. Normally have sparkly masking tape, but this just happens to be some that I've got over. Okay, so we're going to put this in the mini, put it in on here, put the top in, like this. The mini is smaller to use but is quite nice, and you can get a mini if you join at the moment. They've got a special offer on that, so if you're interested, there we go, let's just take that through. And you'll probably notice I use the different plate because mine is a very stiff one. I have been using and I've done a video on it, so I've been using this plate, which is the thick embossing folder plate, but it then works perfectly, and I can then die cut things without having to do all of this, you know, funny plates in different positions and stuff like that. It just works perfectly. So that's another little tip. If you've got a mini, use one of the different plates. So use the embossing plate, and Now I've got to try and get this off now. See how good our washi tape is, because it's looking as if it's going to be stuck. Stuck very well on that one. Should be all right on the other though, because I don't need to have it off on. It's very good washi tape, this one. It's actually stuck hermetically to it, but it will come out well, which is good. So let me just take this out like that, and then I can take the only bit I have to be careful of is where I've die cut it like that, and then I can take this one out, and then you've got this lovely beautiful one which I'm going to just put in on here to just add a little bit of extra definition on there. And so we're going to put this up with dimensionals. This is going to go on here because, as I said, I want it to be a very clean and simple card, and sometimes just doing something small like that, you don't need to have too much on there. So I want to have a sentiment from there, and I did cut, where's the piece that I cut? I cut a nice little piece out to do the sentiment with, which is, have a look and see if it's on here. If it's not, I can do it out of here. I wanted it to be quite thick across the bottom, but then I can cut it through. So this is 3.5 inches. So what I want to do is to cut that so it comes right the way across. So let me just get my, I had already done it, but I'm going to have to do it again. So let's cut this at 3.5, so I know that it goes exactly on the length that we want, because it's going to go right the way across. So I want that to come in on the bottom, and then I am going to, it says me, that's the piece. Isn't it funny? As soon as you've cut one out, you find the piece you wanted. Now I need to have a look and see what sentiment I'm going to put on. Thank you for your kindness. I think that's quite nice. I haven't used that one, so let's take that one out. Thank you for your kindness. And we can put that on there, because that will work quite nicely. And let's put it in on here. And I need to get it fairly straight, like that. And then I can put it in on here. And I'm going to do it in the memento. Just need to have a look and see if that's, it's at a bit of an angle to get it straight. That's better. So let's ink this one up. Now I've got 2 and 2 sides, so if it doesn't come out perfectly to start off with, I can change it. Putting it up fairly near the top, like that. Thank you for your kindness. I can now take a piece off the bottom. It's not completely straight, but I think it'll be all right. Again, it's one of those things I always say, handmade cards, you don't have to have everything absolutely precise, because that's part of making a handmade card. So it's nice when it comes out absolutely precise, but it doesn't have to be. So I'm just going to put this down on here so I can just cut it down a bit. And I don't know whether I want to have much more off than that. I think I want it fairly big, so we can put that off down like that. So that's going to go in on the bottom across here, like that. And I'm then going to put the other one in on top. So that's going to go down here like that. That's going to go up with the dimensional. And then this one is just going to go across the top like that, so that it just sticks up. And I might put it so that it comes over the top like that, because I think that that will work beautifully. Okay, so I want this. This is going to be just, do I have that up with dimensionals or not? This is where I start dithering, isn't it? So we want just a little bit of a space down on here, like that. Now I could do another layer on this, which might work. Let's take, I've got some more cardstock here, so let's just give it an extra layer, which will make it look quite pretty. So I need to do this at 1/2 inch bigger, so let's cut this one at 5.5. by 3 3/4. Cut that down. And then that can go in. So let's put this one in here, because doing clean and simple means that you can do layers and things on there. That's going to be better. So that's going to give us the 2 layers. That's then going to go in on here. Right. Now I'm just going to put this together so it looks beautiful. Just grab some glue. Make sure I've got 2 here, and then we can see which ones go better. So this is going to come down first of all, and yes, you can do a coloured mat, but we're trying to keep this as a very sort of clean and simple looking card, and I think that that will work beautifully. So this is going to come in on here like that. That is then going to go in. Now I could put it up with dimensionals. I'm not going to, because I think it's, if I'm posting it, which I will be doing, I don't want to have too much height going on. So that gives us that layer, and you can see that then just gives a little bit of extra interest. This is going to go down on here, and again I'm not putting that up with dimensionals because we're putting the just making sure I have 1/4 inch on here. This goes right up to this side, but I want the same depth down at the bottom. And then this one is going to go up with the dimensionals, and this is where the minis come into their own, because they are nice and small and you can get them in onto these little spaces so that it does work. Sorry if I knock the camera. It does work nicely in on here. So I'm doing it into these little spaces, but you can see the minis work perfectly. So I can put them in so that they come in where we want them to. I can get a tiny little one in on here. I have one down on there, and then this piece I might have to just do a little bit of glue if I need to. Let's have a look and see. But I think that this will work beautifully as a really pretty, clean and simple card, which again is, so I think I'm going to have it so it comes in on here. And it's going to come in across on there. So you've just got that beautiful bit of dimension in on there, and it works beautifully as I say, a clean and simple card. Although it's taken a little bit of doing it, it's not, you know, the colouring and things, and you can do whatever colours you want on the flowers. I just wanted the yellow because that makes it, as I say, just very beautiful and clean and simple. So I hope you enjoyed that. As always, Please stay safe and well. Please be kind and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.